What's going on, peeps? I want to give you guys a concise but explicative exposition on words and how the essence of the words itself, when we project them out there, we can either create a positive or a negative circumstance. And through, as we know, the words are generated through thoughts. Through the thoughts, we create the characteristics for the individual, for the personality, for the physical self. You know what I mean? And see, when we generate these words, we're co-creators ourselves. So we co-create the world. You know what I mean? All that arises from our thoughts make up the entire world. As we know today, the world is fully engulfed and endemic by complete negativity. That's not destitution, oppression, slavery, uh, rape, you name it, is out there. Violence, complete violence, is totally engulfing the world today. And we're creating this. You know, we always try to, as human beings, being so selfish at times, we always use external sources, not being accountable for our actions. We use external sources. We use music. We blame television, video games, any forms of media. Now, there's like key contributors in the world today as well, but we have to sit back and analyze self. You know, what is our way of thinking? You know, way of thinking creates this. We inseminate these negative seeds inside our young and ourselves. You know what I mean? And don't identifying with these misnomers will continue to perpetuate the negativity. You know, I really want to, put a dissection on black and white, those terms right there, or even go into, if you identify whether it be socially, politically orientated names or organizations, these still, they kind of give you an insular way of thinking. It relegates you to a narrow-mindedness, rather than giving you a 360 way of thinking. It gives you a tunnel vision way of thinking. So you really have to stop labeling yourself and identifying with these things, and you really have to sit back and be technical and logical. You know what I mean? You got to know the etymology behind words, but you also have to know the connotative and denotative of expression of these words itself. And with the words black and white, for instance, with people, especially in America, we label ourselves as black or white. Now, first off, if anyone can tell me what white land is, or black land, white land, wherever that is, I personally just, give me your information, I'll exchange my information, and you can have all the things I own, point blank, because you won't ever, bring that solution to me, because there is no such thing as white land or black land. You know what I mean? These are misnomers. These are pseudonyms. You'll never see someone come from a different country and say, well, for instance, a Chinese or Vietnamese, Japanese, they'll never come in America and say, well, I'm yellow or yellow power. There's no such thing as that. You know what I mean? They know you have one race. You know what I mean? For instance, there's no such thing as racism. Just to put that out there, because racism is not really existing, because race is a species. If you're racist against a species. At least that's my philosophical way of thinking. You know what I mean? What you have to realize is discrimination is existent itself. And what I want to say is, like I said, with the whole, Asian coming in, they will never say yellow, I'm yellow. You know what I mean? You'll get somebody from America that'll go out there and say, well, I'm white, I'm black. They're going to sit like, oh, what? What is that? What's white or black mean? What does that mean? These are adjectives itself. Point blank, it's all there is, an adjective. You don't identify with an adjective. You identify with a proper noun. This is basic language arts. Basic English right here. You learn this from the get-go. You write down your ethnicity. I'm black. You don't capitalize the B, because you've been taught that this is an adjective. You know what I mean? That, oh, a lowercase b. You look at applications, you look at any form of information that you have to fill out something, your ethnicity, it'll always be lowercase. But you look at Mexican, Vietnamese, Chinese, it's capital. You know what I mean? The first letter is capital. They know the world. We descend from one race, human, and from that race of humans, you get nationalities. And so, what I really want to delve into is how people willingly give themselves up to the state. It's really just voluntary servitude. And 13th Amendment they lay it down flat. You know what I mean? All it talks about is, and neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime where a party has been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now, involuntary servitude. So voluntary servitude is happily fine with the state. So when through conception, when your mother gives birth to you, you have a choice. The parent does. Now, if you're in an institution, you kind of leaning towards, I'm gonna get my kid up to the doctor because they know what to do. Now, you sign a name, and then there it's gonna say race. Automatically, point blank, you should be human. But we said we're not. We perish because of lack of knowledge and understanding. We put black and white. You know what I mean? So now we just hand it over to the state. Now we're commodities. We're nothing more than tenuous and just free labor or commodities. That's all we are to the state. Now the state has the power to uphold its jurisdiction over you. It has power over you, over an artificial person that was created. You know what I mean? Now we've been corporatized. That's all it is to it. And so, because the United States of America is nothing more than a corporation. That's why I said all caps. You really have to get this down to a T. Look at your mail. You see your name in all caps. It's Capus Dominitio Maximum. All this talks about, this is American practices Roman law. So you see your name in all caps from a bill, that's your corporate entity. That's artificial person. You know what I mean? If your name, you'll never spell name in all caps. You'll spell name first letter, capital letter, then lowercase. You know what I mean? That's how we identify ourselves. But, us being unaware, we see all caps. You don't assume that's us. That's corporate. You know what I'm saying? That's our artificial person. And like I was saying, the state now has power over you. So now you got a married couple with a kid. And, Child Protective Services call and say, look, such and such, I need you to, pick up on the kid and, do this and that. And, they're doing their best, but Child Protective Services, the government, don't think you could, have the attributes or the means to give your kid a stable environment, so you take the kid away from you. That's your kid. The woman purposely gave birth to that kid. You know what I mean? But the state comes in and intervenes and takes the kid away and puts him in an orphanage. So now you sitting there moaning and crying like, oh, I took my kid away, but you didn't know. At the same time, you can't sit there in disparity and blame yourself. You really have to just, gain knowledge about stuff, gain awareness, and, teach your family about this. So with the whole black and white thing, just be careful with that. These are nothing more than mere adjectives. You got to know the etymology, the connotations, what it denotes to, and then you'll begin to, unveil that dark shadow over this. You know what I mean? And once that begins, like I said, words are power itself. So, you are co-creator, so you'll co-create that positivity around you. There's more to this black and white thing, the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, how it all plays a role in our voluntary servitude and how we have to pay taxes because, we're white, we're black. There's such thing as white and black land, but we gave ourselves these misnomers. And it goes deeper than that, free white persons. It goes back deeper, like I said, the free white persons and, the black person. All black is dead in the eyes of law. Civil mortal mortus. You know what I mean? It's dead in the eyes of law. That's why when you get a black person in jail, there's such thing as a black person. You know what I'm saying? We're still 3/5 people. So the black person will get a substantial amount of years, while the so-called white person will get 3 years for a minor offense. The black person will get 10 years for just a pound or whatnot of marijuana. I don't know how the laws work, but that's how many years they will get. You know what I mean? And they wonder why it's racism. Yeah, it's racism to a point. You know what I mean? You can claim racism so much. You know what I mean? They won't take you to a federal level. If you go to a federal level and claim, you have to claim genocide. They'll take you to a federal level if you have a pretty much, you got a solid argument and solid evidence. Then they'll take you to a federal level. They'll take you to federal court and say, okay, yeah, this person has this. But if you're just talking on racism, that's sentiments. You know what I mean? Don't deal with sentiments. They'll bounce around the little minor local courts and they'll probably give you a couple of dollars and say, here you go. And then you think, oh, I got my resolution. I got it. No, because now you just wasted so much time and you still think it's racism and you perpetuate that. So be aware of that. That's why, so-called black people get more time versus a so-called white person. Even, people who cling on to Latin American, Latin, what does that mean? You know what I mean? You have to go back. You have to look at the etymology behind that. You also have to go back deeper than that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So you'll receive remedy. Malcolm X himself, he realized in one of his speeches that white over there is something totally different. It's an adjective, but over here it means I'm boss, and it does. White means sovereign. You know what I mean? They get they're citizens. Black, you're not citizens. You know what I mean? You look up, when Hurricane Katrina happened, and they called those people refugees because we haven't been granted full citizenship. You have to go deeper to, I think it's the I forgot what civil case it was, but go back, and at the time the Supreme Court justice was Richard B. Was it Lane? I forgot his name, but he said that uh, the the people present here now of African American descent, neither them or the descendants will ever be granted full citizenship. So we're still not granted full citizenship. That's why so often they have to grant us uh, that voting act so we can vote. You know what I mean? So this isn't a game. This is a matrix. You know what I mean? And this is for real. So be aware of that. I want to keep it short as possible. Educate yourself. Get a Black's Law dictionary if you can. Preferably get a before get like a second edition, fourth edition. Get your Oxford dictionaries. Look up some of this stuff. Just don't identify it so much. Identify with it. Be aware of it. You know what I mean? There's two different things. All right. Peace.